The sky was clear over New York City when the first lights appeared. They came without warning, bright, silent streaks across the upper atmosphere. People stopped walking, drivers pulled over, and kids looked up from their phones. At first, many thought it was a meteor shower or some kind of military test, but then the lights slowed down. They stopped moving forward and just hovered. Across the world, people saw the same thing. In Moscow, Tokyo, Sydney, Nairobi, and Rio de Janeiro, strange objects had arrived above every major city. They were not natural. They were ships, big ones, and they weren't ours. In Colorado, deep inside a mountain bunker, General Marcus Boone stared at the screen in front of him. His face was calm, but his fingers tapped nervously on the table. The reports kept coming. In unknown vessels, no signal, no contact, no sign of friendliness or threat. Yet, any movement? He asked. One of his aides shook her head. No, sir, they're just sitting there. Outside, the world held its breath. Then, one by one, the ships began to speak, not with sound, but with light and thought. It hit every human mind at once, like a whisper in the back of the brain. We are the Zevran Concord. We come in peace. That was the message. It repeated 3 times, then stopped. But the way it was said, calm, almost bored, didn't feel peaceful. It felt like a teacher talking to a child who brought finger paints to a calculus class. Within hours, Earth's leaders were in emergency meetings. Scientists tried to decode the Zevran language. Military forces went on high alert. And across the internet, people panicked. Some posted videos, some made memes, others cried. A teenager named Lena Carter sat in her small apartment in Dallas watching everything unfold on her laptop. She was only 22, but she worked as an aerospace engineer for a private tech firm. She knew more about space than most adults. She leaned back in her chair and muttered, "If they only knew what we could do." She wasn't scared. She was annoyed. The Zevran ships were sleek and silver, shaped like teardrops. They moved with grace, like birds in flight. Their technology looked centuries ahead of anything humans had ever built, but looks can be deceiving. By the end of the day, the largest ship, a massive vessel the size of a small moon, lowered itself into orbit around Earth. It blocked out the sun for 10 minutes as it passed. People called it the Watcher. Governments scrambled to respond. The United Nations held an emergency session. For the first time in decades, rival nations agreed on something. This was serious. Still, no one fired a shot. Instead, Earth sent a message. This is planet Earth. We welcome you, but we ask for your intentions. The reply came fast. You are primitive but not without promise. You may join us. Under guidance. Guidance. That word stuck in everyone's mind. It sounded polite, but it meant control. The message also included images, not real ones, but thoughts placed into minds. They showed humans being taught, led, protected, like children learning to walk. Some leaders took it as an offer. Lena took it as an insult. She wasn't the only one. Back in the command center, General Boone read the message again. He stood tall, with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. He had served his country for over 30 years. He'd seen war, peace, and everything in between. He folded his arms and said to his team, "They think we're weak." "They might have a point," said a younger officer. "We don't have anything that can match them." Boone gave him a cold look. "You don't know what we have," he said, and it was true. Few people outside of top command knew about the vault. Even fewer knew what was inside. As the days passed, the Zevrans stayed in orbit. They didn't land, but they watched. Their drones flew through the skies, scanning cities, forests, oceans. They acted like scientists studying a new species, which to them, humans probably were. On the 5th day, the Zevran finally made contact, in person. A small shuttle landed in Washington, D.C. near the White House. It shimmered as it touched down like it was made of liquid glass. Out stepped 4 figures, tall, thin, with pale skin and large eyes. They wore smooth suits that changed color with the light. They looked like something out of a movie. They introduced themselves as Tolvar, Elen, Risak, and Vena. They spoke through translators, but their voices carried a tone of superiority. "We are pleased to meet you," said Tolvar, the tallest of the group. The President of the United States greeted them politely. So did the Secretary General of the UN. But Tolvar barely paid attention. He looked around, unimpressed. "This place is quaint," he said. "You have much to learn." The meeting lasted 2 hours. The Zevran asked questions about human culture, science, and history. They smiled often, but never warmly. When asked if they would share their technology, Tolvar paused. "No," he said simply. "You are not ready." The news spread quickly. The aliens thought we were too dumb to handle advanced tech. To many, it felt like an open slap. But not everyone was surprised. Lena sat in her office the next morning, reading the reports. Her co-worker, a guy named Jason, shook his head. "They really think we're just kids," he said. Lena smirked. "They'll learn," she said. She didn't say more. She didn't need to. She knew what was waiting in the vault, and she knew the Zevran hadn't even begun to see what humans were capable of. The Zevran ambassadors stayed in Washington after their first meeting. They didn't leave Earth's orbit, and they didn't go back to their big ship. Instead, they acted like guests, but not polite ones. They moved around the city with a kind of lazy grace, like they were bored by everything they saw. Their translator devices worked well, but their tone made it clear they weren't impressed. Tolvar, the tall one with silver eyes, walked through the halls of the White House like he owned them. He asked questions about human life, but his voice always had a hint of mockery. "Your cities are small," he said during a tour of DC. "We have structures that stretch into the clouds." He paused and looked at a group of reporters. "You build with stone and steel," he added. "We build with thought." Reporters wrote down every word. Some laughed nervously. Others frowned. Back in Colorado, General Marcus Boone watched the live feed from the White House. His jaw tightened as Tolvar continued to speak. "They think this is diplomacy," Boone muttered. "It's a show." His aide, Captain Diane Harris, nodded. "They want us to feel small," she said. "That's how they control people." Boone didn't reply. He just kept watching. In Dallas, Lena Carter sat in her office again, this time surrounded by news clips and military reports. Her boss, Mr. Grady, walked in with a coffee in hand. "You've been staring at that screen for an hour," he said. Lena didn't look up. "They don't get it," she said. "They keep talking like we're animals in a zoo." Grady sipped his coffee. "Well, we are the new kids on the block," he said. "To them, we're still learning how to tie our shoes." Lena turned to him. "We built rockets before they even noticed us," she said. "And now they act like we should be grateful they're here?" Grady smiled. "You sound like my daughter," he said. "She's 10 and already thinks she can run the world." Lena smirked. "Maybe she can," she said. Over the next few days, the Zevran gave more interviews and held more meetings. They spoke to scientists, politicians, and even schoolchildren. But every time they treated humans like students who hadn't passed the test yet. At a science fair in Houston, Tolvar stood beside a robot built by high school students. The Maser robot could walk, talk, and pick up objects. "It's cute," Tolvar said, smiling politely. "Like a toy for babies." The crowd fell silent. A reporter asked, "Do you think humans will ever reach your level?" Tolvar thought for a moment. "Maybe in 1,000 years," he said. "If you behave." The clip went viral within hours. People across the world saw it. Some laughed it off, others got angry. On social media, hashtags like Chow, Human Pride, and Char Earth Fights Back started trending. Lena shared the video with a short comment. "They laugh now. Wait till they see what we built." Back at the military base, General Boone called a private meeting with his top officers. "They're testing us," he said, "trying to see how much we'll take." Captain Harris crossed her arms. "If we react too fast, they'll say we're violent," she said. "If we do nothing, they'll think we're weak." Boone nodded. "That's why we wait," he said. We let them push. We let them laugh. And then, we show them the truth. Harris raised an eyebrow. And when is that? She asked. Boone looked out the window toward the sky. When they cross the line, he said. The line came sooner than anyone expected. During a public demonstration in New York City, the Zevran brought one of their own machines. It was a floating orb, smooth and glowing. It hovered above the ground like it was weightless. Tolvar stepped forward and said, "Watch this." He reached out with one hand. The orb lifted a car off the street like it was made of paper. The crowd gasped. Then Tolvar smiled, and with a flick of his wrist, he threw the car into a building. Glass shattered. People screamed. No one was killed, but several were hurt. As emergency crews rushed in, Tolvar simply said, "You see? You're not ready for the stars." A journalist ran up to him. "Was that necessary?" she asked. Tolvar looked at her like she'd asked a silly question. "No," he said, "but it was fun." That night, protests broke out in major cities. People demanded answers. Some wanted the aliens gone. Others feared war. President Elena Ward called for calm. But behind closed doors, she met with General Boone. "They've gone too far," she said. Boone nodded. "I agree," he said. "We need to respond." The president looked tired. "What do you suggest?" she asked. Boone leaned forward. "There's something they need to see," he said. "Something we've been saving." The president knew what he meant. "The vault?" she whispered. Boone nodded. "They want to laugh at us," he said. "Let's give them something to cry about." The Zevran didn't stop after throwing the car into a building. If anything, they got worse. Over the next few days, they held more public events across Earth. They visited museums, universities, even farms. But every time they acted like everything. Human was cute or silly. At a university in London, Tolvar watched a group of students show off a new robot suit that could lift heavy weights. When they asked if he was impressed, Tolvar laughed. "You make tools for weak bodies," he said. "On my world, we strengthen the mind." He looked at the crowd. "Your science is trying hard," he added. "But it's not enough." The students tried to smile, but many looked hurt. Back in Dallas, Lena Carter watched the clip on her phone while waiting for her bus. She shook her head. "They don't get it," she muttered. "They really think we're just playing around." Jason, her co-worker, stood beside her. "They're not going to stop," he said. "They'll keep laughing until someone makes them shut up." Lena looked at him. "Maybe that's exactly what's going to happen," she said. In Colorado, General Marcus Boone sat in his office late at night. His desk lamp was the only light on. He read reports from all over the world. Every day, the Zevran made another joke, another comment, another insult. One ambassador called Earth's music noise with no meaning. Another said human food was barely edible. Tolvar even gave a speech saying that humans had big hearts but small brains. Boone closed the report and rubbed his face. His aide, Captain Diane Harris, walked in. "You look tired," she said. "I am tired," Boone replied. "I'm tired of watching these aliens treat us like children." Harris sat down. "The president still wants to wait," she said. "She thinks if we stay calm, they'll start treating us better." Boone gave a short laugh. "That's not how this works," he said. "They won't stop unless we show them we're not scared." Harris nodded slowly. "What do you think will make them stop?" she asked. Boone looked out the window. "Something big," he said. "Something they never saw coming." Back in Washington, D.C., the Zevran were invited to a special dinner with Earth's leaders. It was supposed to be friendly, a chance to build trust. Instead, it turned into another show of arrogance. During dessert, Tolvar raised his glass and spoke to the room. "We are honored to meet you," he said. "You are like young animals learning to walk. We enjoy watching you try." Some leaders smiled nervously. Others frowned. President Elena Ward kept her face calm, but inside, she was angry. After dinner, she met with her top advisors. "This can't go on," she said. "We need to respond." Her defense secretary shook his head. "If we act too fast, they might leave. Or worse, attack," he said. Ward looked at him. "And if we do nothing?" she asked. He didn't answer. In Dallas, Lena couldn't stop thinking about the insults she posted online. They keep calling us primitive, but they don't know what we've built. They don't know what we're ready for. People liked the post. Hundreds shared it. Soon, other engineers, soldiers, and scientists started posting too. We have things they can't imagine. We've been preparing for years. Let them keep laughing. They won't for long. The posts went viral. Even, some military members joined in. One former pilot wrote, "If they want to see what humans can do, tell them to come closer. We've got surprises waiting." Then came the final straw. The Zevran held a live broadcast across Earth. Millions tuned. Indolver stood on a stage, smiling. "We have enjoyed our time here," he said. "But we must be honest," he paused. "You are not ready for the stars," he said. "You fight, you fear, you fail. You are not like us." He looked straight into the camera. "But do not worry," he said. "We will teach you, in time." The bar. Screen cut to black. The internet exploded. People were furious. Lena stared at her screen, fists clenched. Jason walked in and saw her face. "You okay?" he asked. "No," she said. "I'm done watching them laugh at us." Jason looked at her. "What are you going to do?" he asked. Lena stood up. "I'm going to talk to the people who can do something," she said. Jason raised an eyebrow. "You mean the military?" he asked. Lena nodded. "They've been waiting for the right moment," she said. "I think that moment is here." Later that night, Lena sent an email. It wasn't to a general or a president. It was to a friend who worked at a secret research base in Nevada. The message was short. "It's time to open the vault." The Zevran thought they were in control. They laughed, mocked, and treated Earth like a pet that needed training. But not everyone was willing to play along. One event changed everything. It happened during a public science fair in Los Angeles. The Zevran had been invited to see what human scientists were working on. They walked through the exhibits with their usual calm smiles, making quiet comments. Tolvar stopped at a booth where a team of young engineers showed off a new drone. It could fly fast, carry heavy loads, and even dodge obstacles on its own. "Very nice," Tolvar said, looking at the machine. "Like a toy for smart monkeys." The crowd stiffened. One of the students, a girl named Maya, stepped forward. "We worked hard on this," she said. "We think it can help people." Tolvar looked at her like she was a child who had asked a silly question. "I'm sure you did," he said. "But this is nothing." He turned to his assistant and spoke in his own language. The assistant nodded and reached into his coat. A small metal ball appeared in his hand. Before anyone could react, he threw it into the air. It hovered above the crowd. Then it moved. Fast. It slammed into the student's drone and crushed it like paper. People gasped. Maya took a step back, eyes wide. Tolvar smiled. "You see?" he said. "You build with hands. We build with minds." He looked around. "This is why you are not ready." Then, without another word, he and his team walked away. Back in Colorado, General Marcus Boone watched the video from the science fair. His jaw tightened. Captain Diane Harris stood beside him. "They're pushing us," she said. "Trying to. See how much we'll take." Boone didn't speak right away. Then he said, "We've taken enough." Harris looked at him. "What do you mean?" she asked. Boone turned to face her. "I mean, it's time," he said. "We show them what we've built." Harris hesitated. "The president still wants to wait," she said. Boone shook his head. "She doesn't get to wait anymore," he said. "Not after today." In Dallas, Lena Carter sat at her desk, watching the same clip over and over. She saw Maya's face when her drone was destroyed. She saw the fear in the crowd. She felt anger rise in her chest. She opened her laptop and typed a message. This was the last straw. "They don't respect us. They never will. It's time to stop talking and start showing them who we really are." She sent it to her friend at the Nevada base. Minutes later, she got a reply. "We're already getting ready." That night, something big happened. President Elena Ward called a secret meeting with her top military leaders. She had seen the same video as everyone else. Her face was tired, but her voice was strong. "We cannot let this go on," she said. "They've gone too far." One of her advisors nodded. "They think we're weak," he said, "but we have something they don't know about." Ward looked at General Boone. "Are you ready?" she asked. Boone gave a short nod. "We've been ready," he said. "Just waiting for the order." Ward took a deep breath. "Then give them the invitation," she said. "Let them see what we've built." The next day, Earth sent a message to the Zevran. It was polite, but firm. "Thank you for visiting our planet. We would like to invite you to see something special. A place where we keep our most powerful tools." The Zevran responded quickly. "You wish to show us your weapons?" Earth replied, "Yes. We believe it's time you saw what humans are truly capable of." The Zevran agreed. They were curious and a little confused. Humans had no reason to be confident, or so they thought. In Washington, D.C., Tolvar read the message twice. He turned to his team. "They want to show us their weapons," he said. "How cute." One of the other envoys smiled. "Maybe they want to impress us," she said. Tolvar laughed. "They can try," he said. "But they won't surprise us." He looked out the window. "We'll go," he said. "Let's see what these humans think is strong." Back in Nevada, the base was buzzing with activity. Workers checked systems. Soldiers cleaned uniforms. Scientists ran tests. At the center of it all was the vault, a huge underground complex filled with weapons, machines, and tech that had never been seen by the world. Lena arrived at the base early the next morning. She met with the director, a man named Colonel Rayner. "You made it," he said. Lena nodded. "I wouldn't miss this for anything," she said. Rayner smiled. "Good," he said, "because today we show them who we are." The sky above Nevada was clear and blue. No clouds, no wind, just silence. A small alien shuttle landed on a remote military base near the edge of the desert. The ship shimmered slightly as it touched down, like it was made of liquid glass. Out stepped 4 Zevran envoys. Tolvar led the group. He looked calm, but his eyes moved quickly, scanning everything around him. Behind him came Ellen, Risak, and Vena. They had been told this visit was important, but they still didn't expect much. "Humans love to show off," Tolvar said as they walked forward. "I hope this isn't just another museum." Ellen smiled. "Even if it is," she said, "it will be fun to watch them try." A group of soldiers waited for them. At the front stood General Marcus Boone. He didn't smile. He didn't bow. He simply said, "Welcome to the vault." Tolvar raised an eyebrow. "The vault?" he asked. "Sounds dramatic." Boone nodded. "It should," he said. "You're about to see something no one else has." The aliens followed him into a large building that looked like a simple warehouse from the outside. Inside it was different. There were guards everywhere. Big screens lined the walls. Scientists and engineers moved through the halls with purpose. Tolvar looked around. "You have good security," he admitted. "But I doubt you have anything that can impress us." General Boone didn't reply. He just kept walking. They entered a large elevator. It went down, far down. The ride lasted 5 minutes. When the doors opened, the Zevran stopped. They stared. Before them was a massive underground complex. Rows of machines, weapons, and strange devices filled the space. Some glowed with energy. Others looked sharp enough to cut through steel like paper. "This is not what I expected," Tolvar said quietly. One of the human scientists, a woman named Dr. Lena Carter, stepped forward. She smiled. "Welcome to the Human Weapons Vault," she said. "We built this over many years, in secret." Tolvar turned to her. "What exactly do you keep here?" he asked. Lena's smile didn't fade. "Everything," she said. "Every weapon we've ever dreamed of. Every tool we've ever built. This is where we keep what makes us strong." Tolvar looked around again. He saw a machine that looked like a cannon, but it had no barrel. Another device looked like a suit of armor, but it moved on its own. He turned back to Boone. "You think this is scary?" he asked. "We have better tech." Boone crossed his arms. "We'll see," he said. They walked through the vault. Each stop brought more surprises. At one station, a soldier showed them a small missile that could destroy a city block with pinpoint accuracy. At another, a scientist explained how AI-controlled drones could fly faster than light speed for short bursts. Tolliver tried to stay calm, but his face betrayed confusion. "This is advanced," he admitted. Lena leaned closer. "We didn't build this to scare anyone," she said. "We built it because we know how dangerous the universe is." Tolliver gave a short laugh. "And you think you're ready for the stars?" he asked. Lena looked him straight in the eye. "We don't need your permission," she said. We already belong out there." Tolliver didn't reply. Then came the biggest surprise. They arrived at a huge room with a glass wall. On the other side was a weapon unlike any the Zevran had ever seen. It looked like a giant satellite dish, but it pointed upward. "This is the Hades Array," General Boone said. Tolliver frowned. "What does it do?" Boone walked to a control panel. "It fires a beam from orbit," he said. "It can vaporize anything in seconds, even asteroids." Tolliver laughed. "You expect us to believe that?" he asked. Boone pressed a button. A screen lit up. It showed a live feed from space. A small asteroid floated in the blackness. Then the beam fired. In less than a second, the asteroid was gone. Just gone. The Zevran stared at the screen. Silence filled the room. Finally, Tolliver spoke. "That," he said slowly. "That was not expected." Vena looked at Boone. "You built this?" she asked. Boone nodded. "All by ourselves," he said. "No help, no guidance." Tolliver turned away from the screen. His face was no longer smug. It was serious. "I think," he said, "we may have misunderstood you." Lena smiled. "You might want to rethink who's really behind who," she said. Back in Washington, D.C., news of the vault spread fast. People watched videos of the tour. They read reports. They saw the looks on the Zevran faces when the asteroid was destroyed. Across the world, people felt something new. Pride. For the first time, Earth wasn't the weak one. They weren't the ones begging for knowledge or protection. They were the ones with power, and they weren't afraid to use it. The silence after the asteroid was destroyed lasted for a long time. The Zevran stood in front of the large screen, watching the empty space where the rock used to be. No dust, no pieces, just gone. Tolliver blinked slowly. "That was not a trick," he said quietly. General Marcus Boone didn't smile. He just nodded. "No tricks," he said. "Just science." Tolliver turned to his team. They looked shaken. Even Vena, who had always been calm, looked worried. Ellen finally spoke. "You have more of these weapons?" she asked. Lena Carter stepped forward. "We have many," she said. "Some even stronger than this one." She walked over to a smaller control panel and tapped on it. A new image appeared on the screen. A map of Earth with red dots scattered across it. "These are all our hidden bases," Lena explained. "Each one has different weapons. Some are defensive, some are offensive. All of them are ready." Tolliver stared at the map. He looked like he wanted to say something, but nothing came out. Back in Washington, D.C., President Elena Ward watched the live feed from the vault. Her top advisors sat around her. One of them, the defense secretary, leaned forward. "They're starting to understand," he said. "They thought we were weak. Now they know better." Ward nodded. "But will they respect us?" she asked. No one answered right away. Then General Harris, head of military intelligence, spoke. "They'll respect the power," she said. "But whether they respect us, that's another question." Ward looked at the screen again. "Well," she said, "let's make sure they never forget what they saw today." Back in Nevada, the tour continued. After the Hades Array demonstration, the aliens were taken to another room. This one was filled with machines that looked like insects. Lena pointed at them. "These are our drone swarms," she said. "Each one can fly, fight, and think on its own." Tolvar raised an eyebrow. You use small machines in battle? He asked. That seems inefficient. Lena smiled. They don't fight alone, she said. They work together, like ants. She pressed a button. On the other side of the glass, the drones buzzed to life. They flew up into the air and formed a tight group. Then they shot forward, moving faster than the eye could follow. In seconds, they reached a target wall covered in alien armor plating. The drones attacked. They cut through the metal like it was paper. When the attack ended, the drones returned to their spots and powered down. Silence filled the room again. Risak, the quietest of the Zevran envoys, finally spoke. That was fast, he said. Lena crossed her arms. Fast enough to win any war, she said. As the tour went on, the Zevran grew quieter. They asked fewer questions. They smiled less. At each stop, they saw more proof that humanity wasn't as primitive as they had claimed. A weapon that could destroy entire cities in minutes. A suit of armor that gave soldiers super strength and speed. An AI that could predict enemy moves before they happened. Every time, Tolvar tried to stay calm, but inside he was thinking hard. He realized something. They had come here expecting to teach humans. Instead, they were being shown how little they knew. Finally, the last stop of the tour came. It was a simple room, with only one thing inside, a black box on a pedestal. Lena led the group in. This, she said, is something we don't use often. Tolvar looked at the box. What is it? He asked. Lena walked closer. It's called the pulse, she said. It creates a wave of energy that shuts down all electronics within 100 miles. She looked at him. Your ships would be helpless if we used it, she added. Tolvar took a step back. He finally understood. Humans weren't just strong. They were prepared, and they had been waiting for someone like the Zevran to push too far. Outside the vault, the sun was setting. Inside, the Zevran stood in silence. Tolvar looked at General Boone. I think, he said slowly, we may have made a mistake. Boone didn't look surprised. Maybe you did, he said. Or maybe you just needed to learn something. Tolvar nodded. We thought we were helping, he said. We thought you needed guidance. He paused. But now I see. You were guiding yourselves. Lena smiled. We always have, she said. Later that night, the Zevran left the vault. They returned to their shuttle and flew back to their main ship in orbit. As they traveled, Tolvar sat in silence. Vena looked at him. What? Will you tell the others? She asked. Tolvar looked out the window at Earth. That we were wrong, he said. And that humans are not what we thought. He turned to face her. They are not weak, he said. They are not lost. He took a deep breath. They are ready. The Zevran ship floated silently in Earth's orbit. Inside, the mood was tense. Tolvar sat alone in a small room filled with glowing screens. He stared out the window at the blue planet below. He had seen many worlds, many species, but never one like this. Humans had looked weak, small, unimportant. Now he wasn't so sure. He thought about the vault, about the weapons, about the look on Lena Carter's face when she said, "We don't need your permission." That moment stuck with him. It wasn't just what she said, it was how she said it, like she meant it. Back on Earth, General Marcus Boone stood in his office. Watching a live feed from the Zevran ship, Captain Diane Harris walked in. They haven't moved, she said. They're just sitting up there. Boone nodded. They're thinking, he said. Trying to figure out what to do next. Harris crossed her arms. You think they'll cause trouble? She asked. Boone shook his head. No, he said. Not now. They know we can end this anytime we want. Harris gave a small smile. Feels good, doesn't it? She asked. Boone didn't smile back. It feels right, he said. We spent too long being treated like kids. Now they see us for what we are. Harris looked at the screen again. What do you think they'll do? She asked. Boone leaned back in his chair. They'll talk, he said. Maybe even try to fix things. He paused. But they won't laugh at us again. In Washington, D.C., President Elena Ward met with her top advisors. The news about the vault had gone global. People were proud, happy. Some even started making memes online showing aliens running away from Earth. Ward read some of the posts herself. Humans, not as dumb as they look. Zavaran Concord, please don't vaporize us. Earth, just flexed in front of aliens and it was beautiful. She smiled. Her defense secretary cleared his throat. We should prepare for their response, he said. Ward nodded. I agree, she said. Let's make sure we're ready for whatever they say next. On the Zevran ship, Tolvar called a meeting with his team. They sat around a round table made of glowing metal. No one spoke at first. Finally, Vena broke the silence. We were wrong, she said. About everything. Risak nodded. We came here thinking we were helping, he said. But now, I'm not sure. Tolvar looked at each of them. We must decide what to do, he said. Do we leave? Do we apologize? Or do we try again? Ellen sighed. We cannot pretend nothing happened, she said. They saw our weakness. Tolvar frowned. We weren't weak, he said. We were just unprepared. Ellen looked at him. That's what weakness looks like, she said. Silence fell again. Then Risak spoke. What if we offer something new? He asked. Everyone turned to him. What do you mean? Tolvar asked. Risak leaned forward. We came here to teach them, he said. What if we ask them to teach us instead? The others looked surprised. Tolvar thought for a moment. You're saying, we admit they have something we don't? He asked. Risak nodded. Yes, he said. We admit they are strong, and we ask to learn from them. Tolvar looked at the others. Vena gave a small nod. Ellen looked unsure, but she didn't disagree. Tolvar finally spoke. We will send a message, he said. One that says we were wrong. He paused. And that we want to start over. Back on Earth, Lena Carter sat in her apartment, watching the news. Reporters talked about the Zevran, about what had changed. Some said the aliens would leave. Others said they might attack. Lena knew better. She opened her laptop and typed a message to her friend at the Nevada base. They're not leaving. They're scared. And scared people usually want to make friends. Minutes later, she got a reply. Then, let's see what they have to say. Later that day, Earth received a message from the Zevran. It was short. We were wrong. We did not understand your strength. We wish to speak again. Not as teachers, but as equals. President Ward read it twice. Then she looked at her advisors. Well, she said, looks like they finally get it. General Boone stood beside her. They should have listened earlier, he said. But better late than never. Ward nodded. Let's hear what they have to say, she said. But we don't give them anything easy. Boone smiled. That's the plan, he said. The meeting took place in Washington, D.C., this time not in the White House, but in a new building built just for talks with aliens. It was called the Unity Hall. Big windows looked out over the city. Flags from every nation lined the walls. And, at the center of the room stood a round table, not for war, but for peace. Tolvar and his team arrived early. They looked different now. Less smug. More serious. General Marcus Boone met them at the door. He didn't shake hands or smile. He just said, let's make sure this goes better than last time. Tolvar gave a small nod. I hope so too, he said. President Elena Ward entered the room with her top advisors. She sat at the head of the table. Behind her were scientists, military leaders, and diplomats. Lena Carter was among them. She wasn't a politician. But she knew what the Zevran had seen in the vault, and she knew they needed to understand that humans weren't going to be pushed around again. Ward looked at Tolvar. You asked for this meeting, she said. What do you want? Tolvar cleared his throat. We came here thinking we were helping, he began. We thought you needed guidance, but we were wrong. There was silence in the room. Then he continued. We saw your strength, he said. We saw what you built, and we understand now. You are not weak. You never were. He looked around the table. We would like to start again, he said. Not as teachers, not as rulers, but as equals. Back in Colorado, General Boone listened carefully. He leaned forward. You say you want to be equal, he said. But do you know what that means? Tolver nodded. It means no control, he said. No secrets, no lies. Boone studied him. That's right, he said. You don't get to decide what we can or cannot build. You don't get to tell us how to live. He paused. If we agree to talk, it's on our terms. Tolvar looked at his team, then back at Boone. We accept that, he said. Over the next few hours, the talks began. The Zevran offered something new, a chance to work together. They wanted to share ideas, learn from each other, not teach, not rule, just learn. They proposed joint research centers, shared space missions, even tech exchanges. Ward listened, so did the others. When the Zevran finished speaking, she looked at Lena. What do you think? She asked. Lena leaned forward. They're trying, she said, but they still think they have something we need. She turned to Tolvar. We already have strong weapons, she said. We already have smart people, she smiled. But maybe we can learn from you too. Tolvar looked surprised. Really? He asked. Lena nodded. We'll work with you, she said, but only if we do it together. Outside, the world watched. News stations played clips from the meeting. People read reports online, and slowly, the mood changed. At first, many were angry. Now, some were hopeful. In Dallas, Jason, Lena's friend, watched the news at home. His neighbor knocked on the door. You watching this? The neighbor asked. Jason nodded. Looks like we're not enemies anymore, he said. The neighbor smiled. Guess we showed them, he said. Jason laughed. We sure did. Back in the meeting room, Tolvar looked tired. But he was trying. He turned to President Ward. There is one more thing, he said. She raised an eyebrow. What is it? She asked. Tolvar hesitated. We want to send one of our people to live here, he said, to learn about your world, your people. Ward didn't answer right away. Then she said, We'll think about it. Tolvar nodded. That's all I ask. Later that night, Lena walked outside with General Boone. They looked up at the sky. The Zevran ship still floated above Earth. But now it didn't feel like a threat. It felt like a promise. Lena smiled. They finally see us, she said. Boone looked at her. They always should have, he said. Lena nodded. Maybe, she said. But now they know. Boone gave a rare smile. Good, he said. Let's make sure they never forget it.